Welcome to Ground Control. I have the Radiolink Byme-A flight controller / gyro installed in the eSheen Micro Sky Hunter, and I was just checking everything out before I went out to the field. So I have the flight controller in normal flight mode right now, and I have the gyro set for safe mode. So hold this up where you can see it. If I bank the plane left, you'll see the right aileron comes up and the left one goes down. If I bank it right, you'll see the left aileron come up and the right one go down. Did I say that right? And it's going to be hard to see the elevator, but if I pitch it down, the elevator comes up. If I pitch it up, the elevator goes down. Everything is working in the proper direction. And just to show you that it's safe mode, if I flip it over, let me see, a good place to grab it here. If I flip it over, you'll see the ailerons go fully deflected to roll the plane back over. So that is safe mode, or stabilization mode as they call it. Now, it says, I think in the manual, that the intermediate mode, the acrobatic mode, has self-leveling, and then you have the full manual mode where there's no input from the gyro. And we'll take it out and we'll test all three of those gyro modes. And it states in the manual that the maximum angle for roll is 70 degrees, which is, it's quite a bit, you know. I mean, let me see, we're about 45 there. 70 degrees is somewhere around in there. That's huge. And it says that the maximum pitch angle is 45 degrees. So we'll go out and we'll test that out and see if that information is correct or not. That seems 70 degrees on bank and safe mode seems like an awfully lot to me. But we'll see. We'll take it out there. I will see you out in the field. Alright, it's time for the test flight with the Radiolink Byme-A gyro flight controller. Okay, we're going to be launching it in safe mode just to see how stable it is on launch. Okay, so the temperature out here this morning is 24 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'll probably get this wrong, but I think that is -4 degrees Celsius or close to that. Wind is about 3 miles per hour, so that's about as good as it gets out here. So except for it being cold, it's pretty good test conditions. All right, launching. Okay, that's full left aileron. It took off nice and sweet in safe mode. Supposed to have a maximum angle of 70 degrees. Full left aileron right there. I'll back up the throttle a little bit. I just wanted to see if the gyro is fighting me at all. It doesn't look like it. Okay, so let's come back over here and then make a right-hand turn. That's a little more restrictive than I thought it would be. Okay, so that's full right aileron right there. It's nice and stable, and it looks like they got the gains just about right on it because it's not fighting me in the turns. Because I don't think the gains are adjustable on it. That's still full right aileron, guys. Maybe I need more throw in my ailerons. Okay, so let's bring it back through here. So far, nice. And then we'll bring it back through here, and I want to test the pitch restriction on it.
Okay, so there's full up elevator. That seems a little more restrictive too than I thought it would be. Let me bring it back here. I've got a pretty wide turn on it. Okay, that's full elevator right there. Very nice and very stable and very smooth. One thing that I didn't do, I forgot to do when I activated it, was it says you need to hold the nose up about 20 degrees on the plane, and I did not do that. I forgot about that. Full left aileron. Okay, so now I want to bring it back around here and see how well it tracks. It's nice and straight without any input on the sticks. Gain a little altitude. Okay, I'm off the stick, and you see it's descending ever so slightly. It held it nice and straight, but it's descending a little bit. So I think you do need to give it that little bit of nose up attitude when the gyro initializes. This, in the manual it states 20%. I don't know if you need that much, but you definitely need a little nose up attitude when it initializes so that it maintains its altitude. Let me try that again. Climb up a little bit. Okay, I'm completely off the stick. Look how nice and straight it is. But it is descending ever so slightly. Okay, so now I want to climb a little bit, and then I want to put it in the intermediate mode, which is I think acrobatic mode. Okay, so we are in acrobatic mode. I'm not supposed to have any restriction on angle, and I don't appear to have any restriction on angle, but it's supposed to stabilize the plane. Yeah, no, I don't have any restriction on angle. Okay, now what I want to see, I want to bring it back through here and then just see if I let go of the stick, if it auto levels it. Gain a little altitude. No, it's not really doing auto leveling. It's only doing stabilization. No restriction, but it does not do auto level. I thought in the manual it said it did auto leveling in acrobatic mode, but it does not do auto leveling. Yeah, no, there's no auto leveling there. It just does stabilization for things like wind. Okay, so my timer has elapsed. I put it back in safe mode. So let's see if we can bring it around and land it in safe mode. And I think I'm gonna come from that direction. You know, without the sun behind my back. I think I'm gonna have to do another circuit to get it lined up in safe mode, since the aileron is pretty restrictive. But it feels like it's tuned really well, you know? Nice tracking on the way in. I just cut the throttle and let it glide and added a little bit of back pressure on the elevator, and it kept it nice and straight. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I think I'll have to go back and look at the documentation when we get back to the hangar. But I thought that the documentation stated that in acrobat mode, which would be your intermediate level, there was no restriction on angle, but I thought that the manual stated that it did auto leveling. Maybe I misread that, but I'll take a look at the documentation again when we get back to the hangar and see if that's what it states, because in the intermediate mode it does not do auto leveling. It does stabilization against things like wind, gust and stuff like that, but it certainly wasn't doing any auto leveling. In safe mode, it's fantastic. It did feel a little more restrictive than what I expected, because I didn't think that was, it said in the roll that it was restricted by 70% angle, and then the elevator 45% angle. I did decrease the throws on my ailerons, so maybe that's why. But the elevator seemed pretty close to 45 degrees when I was giving it full elevator, maybe more around 35 to 40 degrees. And it felt to me like the restriction in the roll axis was probably more like that too, more like maybe a 45 degree rather than a 70 degree in the roll axis. But unlike another gyro I recently tested, it was not fighting me in the turns. It felt nice and smooth. It was not trying to auto level the wings when I was in a turn. So I think they got the gains just about spot on with that gyro. Man, that is a fantastic little gyro. I mean, the launch went nice and smooth. I want to put another battery pack in it and test it one more time in safe mode, and this time I'll remember to give the nose a little bit of up angle when the gyro initializes, so that it doesn't slowly lose altitude when I have it in safe mode and I have the stick centered. Man, it kept the wings nice and straight and level, but it was descending a little bit. So we'll see if putting the nose up in a 20-degree attitude when it initializes, if it takes care of that. I mean, I forgot to do that. It stated that in the manual, but I forgot about it. So I'll see you in a minute. Let's get this plane in the air again. I have it in safe mode again. I did remember to tilt the nose up a little bit when I connected the battery to it this time, so I want to test that out again with hands off of the sticks. We're going to launch it in safe mode. That was pretty easy, launching this by wingtip in safe mode. Okay, and I also want to test it in full manual mode this time to make sure there's no interference from the gyro. Alright, launching. Well, that was easy. Okay, full left aileron, safe mode. Just getting a little altitude. And then do hands off. No, we're still descending a little bit. Of course, I didn't test it out in manual mode. Maybe it's descending in manual mode. Okay, full left stick on the aileron. Yeah, and it's descending a little bit. I guess I would rather have it, and I'm making my turn out now. I guess I would rather have it descending a little bit in safe mode rather than having it ascending a little bit in safe mode. Maybe I just need to reposition the gyro a little bit. But yeah, we got a little bit of a descent there. So I will try and reposition that gyro when I bring it back out to test it again. So now what I want to do, gain a little altitude. I want to put it in full manual mode and make sure that there's no... Okay, so that's full manual mode now. Want to make sure there's no input from the gyro. Well, I still need to turn down the ailerons a little bit. I need to put a better ESC in it too. Now the roll rate's not too bad. Maybe I just need a little more expo on the ailerons, but it doesn't seem, I don't feel any interference from the gyro at all. Full manual mode. It's awesome. Awesome little plane. Yeah, I think I'm going to increase the ailerons a little bit and increase the expo. It's a little slower going counter torque. Yeah. Okay, let's put it back in safe mode. Whoa, did you see that? It definitely straightened it up. I wondered how long it would take it, you know, if you needed to straighten it up. That was immediate that it leveled it out there, so that's good. You won't have to worry about it losing much altitude when you put it into safe mode to save your plane, that's for sure. But that's good. You know, it was a very abrupt when it leveled it out, but it immediately leveled it out as soon as I was in the turn. I still had it banked and put it in safe mode with the stick centered, and it immediately leveled it up. So I'm pretty impressed with this little gyro. That is full left stick deflection again. Alright, now let's try full right. There's full right. It's way out there. Alright, so in safe mode, it looks like you're going to need a fairly large area to fly it. It's a little more restrictive than I thought it was going to be. Alright, I'm starting to get my haptics, so let's bring it back around. We'll see if we get it lined up with the runway again. I'm coming back in. I'm coming downwind to land, but I would rather do that than have the sun in my face trying to watch the plane. So we're in safe mode. Throttle off. It came in, man. All I did was put a little back pressure on the elevator, and it kept the wings nice and straight. So I'm real impressed. I'm real impressed with this gyro in safe mode. You're not going to be able to fly it in as tight a space as I thought you were going to be able to, but it certainly is rock solid. I still get a little bit of a descent on it when I center the stick. It keeps the plane nice and straight. You know, it keeps the wings nice and straight, but it does have a little bit of a descent to it. So I think I'm going to have to adjust the position of the gyro inside the plane, and because the front of it may be tilted down a little bit, you know, because of the connections and stuff on the board. So next time I bring it out, I will see if I can reposition that, and then we'll test that again. I like it to get, you know, maintain its altitude nice and solid. So, but so far I'm real impressed with it. It is truly a plug and play little gyro and flight controller. So I'll meet you back at the hangar and give you some information, some important information on this. I want to better explain the phase adjustment on the gyro, because I did have to use that. So I'll see you back at the hangar.
Okay, so I was very impressed with the gyro, and in safe mode it made launches a non-issue and it makes landings a non-issue. Now when I was coming in for a landing, all I had to do was line it up with the lane out there to land. I just decreased throttle, and then when I got close to the ground, I applied a little back pressure on the elevator, and I didn't even have to touch the ailerons when I was coming in. So it's rock solid. I think, you know, with the connections that I have in the back, all the connections are in the back of the gyro, and it's kind of a tight space in there, especially with it sitting on the shelf. So I think what I'm going to do is just take some electrical tape. I don't have it tied down, it's just sitting on that pad, that adhesive pad. So I'm going to take some electrical tape, and I'm going to tie it down a little bit tighter and put a little more pressure on the back side of it so that the cables are not pushing it up, because I think that's what's going on. When I would put it in safe mode, and it would hold the wings nice and level, but it would descend a little bit. So I think that's what's going on. I think the cables are pushing the back of the gyro up a little bit, or pulling it down a little bit. I don't know which. But it was not, it did, I went back and read the manual again, and it did say 70 degrees in safe mode with the roll axis, and that is incorrect. I would say that the maximum roll axis is about 40 degrees, so that might be a misprint in there. It's around 40 degrees, not 70 degrees, and I wondered about that. You know, I picked up the plane and I rolled it to where I thought 70 degrees was, and I thought, man, that is an awfully big angle for safe mode. So no, it's about 40 degrees, and the pitch looked pretty close to what they stated in the manual. It looked pretty close to 45-degree angle when I could see the side of the plane. When I was pulling the elevator all the way back, it looked pretty close to a 45-degree angle. This gyro is truly plug and play. There's no configuration that you have to do to it. Now, I wanted to better, and one other thing, in the manual, it did say that in acrobatic mode that it self-leveled, and that's a misprint too, because the gyro does not self-level in acrobatic mode. It doesn't have any restriction, but the control surfaces will come up if it makes an abrupt movement, like a gust of wind or something. Then the control surfaces will move. So it's more like not a safe mode, but it's more like a stabilization mode. And I wondered about that too, because I thought if it levels the wings in acrobatic mode, I can think of a lot of instances where you're going to center the stick. You know, like when you're pulling a loop, or you're trying to roll over, do a split S maneuver. There's a lot of circumstances doing aerobatics where you do not want the plane to self-level when you're in the middle of the maneuver. So I'm glad that it doesn't do that in acrobatic mode. All it does is stabilization to counteract wind. So that's good. I think that's the way it should be. And I'm glad that it has a much more restrictive angle than 70 degrees on the roll axis. But I wanted to talk about the phase adjustment, because the gyro does not know what orientation the servos are in. Just like sometimes you connect up a new receiver, you've got your servos installed in your plane, you move your ailerons are moving in the wrong direction. So you've got to reverse the channel. Well, the phase on the gyro works exactly the same way. Now, when I first got it in the plane, and was testing safe mode on the gyro, when I banked it left, the left aileron was coming up and the right was going down. So the gyro wanted to continue to bank it left. So I used the phase adjustment. It was one short push of the button, the little button in the front for the phase adjustment. One short push of the button is for the aileron channel, and that reversed that. And so then, when I banked it to the left, the right aileron came up, the left aileron came down. That's the correct direction, so that it would level the plane. So make sure that you test that first. And they have a phase adjustment for each one of the channels for aileron, elevator, and rudder. But this is truly a plug-and-play system. I mean, that's the only thing that I had to do. The gains seemed like they were right on the money, because when I was flying it with full stick deflection turning in safe mode, the gyro was not fighting me. And the last plane with a different gyro in it that I tested in safe mode was constantly trying to level the wings in safe mode when I was making a turn. So the gains were set way too high. With this one, it was nice and smooth through the turn. So I think they got the gains spot on. So I also misstated something. I said you're going to need a much larger area to fly in with this gyro in safe mode. Now, if you're flying a bank and yank plane like I am, then yes, you're going to have a much bigger area. But if you have a full 4-channel plane and you have a rudder, the rudder is not restricted. You're going to be able to use full rudder. So you're going to be able to fly in a very small space with this gyro with an aircraft that has a rudder on it. So I'm going to have to take it back out and test it again in a plane that has a rudder so I can show you that. But I'm very impressed with the gyro. I have complete confidence in it now. So the next time I take it out, I'll be flying a lot lower and a lot closer with it. So anyway, links to the Radiolink Byme-A flight controller / gyro are in the show notes. And I think that I'm going to pick up another one. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.